Jake Morrison sat in the giant council room and tried not to show how angry he felt. The walls were made of some kind of blue crystal that glowed softly. Around him sat representatives from hundreds of different alien species. Some looked like giant insects. Others were made of living metal. A few were just floating balls of light that spoke through machines. He had been Earth's voice in this place for 5 years now. 5 long years of listening to the Galaxy Council make rules that always seemed to hurt the smaller, weaker species. Today was worse than usual. The Zephyrian Supreme Chancellor stood at the center of the room. The Zephyrians looked almost human, except their skin was silver and their eyes were completely black. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years before humans even learned to make fire. "The new protection law is final," the Chancellor said. His voice echoed through the chamber. "All member species must give up their military weapons. The Zephyrian Empire will keep you all safe." Jake felt his hands clench into fists. He looked around the room and saw fear in the faces of many alien representatives. The smaller species knew what this really meant. It meant the Zephyrians would have all the power and everyone else would have none. Far away on Luna Station, Dr. Lisa Coleman watched the meeting through a secure video link. She sat in her lab surrounded by computer screens and technical drawings. Her short brown hair was messy from running her hands through it. She had been working for 18 hours straight. Lisa knew something that Jake didn't know yet. Something that would change everything. 3 months ago, her team had made a breakthrough. They had figured out how to fold space itself. Not just bend it like the old hyperspace drives did, but actually fold it like a piece of paper. This meant ships could travel anywhere in the galaxy instantly. No more waiting weeks to cross from one star system to another, but they had kept it secret. Lisa had insisted on that. She said they needed to test it more first. Really, she was waiting to see what the Galaxy Council would do next. She had a feeling they would try something like this. "Dr. Coleman," said her assistant, a young man named Kevin Price. "The Council is asking for Earth's response now." Lisa leaned forward and activated her communicator. "Jake, this is Lisa. Do you copy?" In the Council chamber, Jake felt a small vibration in his earpiece. It was so quiet that none of the aliens could hear it. "I copy, Lisa. What's our status?" "It's time," Lisa said simply. "Show them what we really think of their protection." Jake took a deep breath. Around him, other representatives were standing up to accept the Zephyrian demands. The insect-like Vortons clicked their agreement. The crystal beings called the Luminari pulsed with reluctant acceptance. Everyone was giving in. Everyone except Earth. Jake stood up slowly. The movement caught the Chancellor's attention. The silver-skinned alien turned his black eyes toward the human section. "Ah, yes," the Chancellor said with what might have been a smile. "The humans. Such a young species. Only 200 years since you discovered faster-than-light travel. I'm sure you understand the wisdom of our protection." Jake looked around the room one more time. Then he looked directly at the Chancellor. "Earth hereby withdraws from the Galaxy Council, effective immediately." The chamber went completely silent. Not even the usual hum of translation devices could be heard. Jake could feel hundreds of alien eyes staring at him. "I'm sorry," the Chancellor said, his voice suddenly sharp. "Could you repeat that?" "You heard me correctly," Jake said. He kept his voice calm and steady. "Humanity will no longer participate in a government that chooses control over cooperation. We're done here." The silence broke like a dam bursting. Aliens started shouting in dozens of different languages. The translation devices went crazy trying to keep up. Some representatives jumped to their feet. Others huddled together in small groups, whispering rapidly. The Zephyrian Chancellor raised one silver hand, and the noise died down. "No species has ever left the Galaxy Council," he said. "In 50,000 years of our civilization, this has never happened." "Well, Jake said, gathering up his papers. I guess there's a first time for everything. You don't understand what you're doing, the Chancellor continued. Earth is nothing without the Council. You have no trade agreements, no defense treaties, no access to our technology or our markets. You'll be completely alone. Jake smiled for the first time that day. Chancellor, you're the one who doesn't understand. Earth isn't running away from a fight. We're just choosing not to fight on your terms anymore. He turned to leave, but the Chancellor's voice stopped him. If you walk out that door, human, there will be consequences. The Zephyrian Empire does not tolerate defiance. Other species will see your example and think they can do the same. Jake turned back around. Maybe they should think that. Maybe it's time for some changes around here. On Luna Station, Dr. Coleman was already moving. Kevin, send the signal to all Earth colonies. Operation Independence is now active. All colonies, Doctor. Even the hidden ones? Especially the hidden ones, Lisa said. It's time to show the galaxy what Earth has really been doing for the past 6 months. Back in the council chamber, Jake walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed loudly in the huge room. Behind him, the arguments had started again. Some aliens were demanding that Earth be punished immediately. Others were asking questions about their own situations. The Chancellor's voice rose above the chaos. This session is closed. All representatives will return to their ships and await further instructions. Jake didn't look back. He had delivered Earth's message, and now the real work would begin. As he reached his small diplomatic ship, Jake activated his long-range communicator. This is Ambassador Morrison to Earth Command. The message has been delivered. How copy? President Helen Carter's voice came back clear and strong. We copy, Jake. Good work. Come home. We have a lot to prepare for. On my way, Madam President. How are our people taking the news? Better than expected. The Senate voted to support the withdrawal by a margin of 87-13. The Global Unity Assembly was even more decisive. 94% approval. Jake felt relief flood through him. He had been worried that Earth's population might not support such a dramatic step. What about our allies? He asked. That's the interesting part, President Carter said. We're already getting private messages from 12 different species. They want to know if Earth would be interested in forming alternative partnerships. As Jake's ship lifted off from the council station, he looked back at the massive structure. It had taken the Zephyrians 3,000 years to build it. For 50 millennia, it had been the center of galactic civilization. Every important decision affecting trillions of beings had been made within those crystal walls. Now, for the first time in its history, someone had chosen to walk away. Jake didn't know it yet, but across the galaxy, emergency meetings were being called. Stock markets were crashing. Military commanders were asking their superiors for new orders. Ancient alliances were being questioned. The Galaxy Council had always maintained power through fear and dependency. No one had ever tested what would happen if a species simply refused to play by their rules. Earth was about to find out. Commander Alex Turner was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency alert came through. The bridge of the Earth defense ship Horizon went from quiet routine to controlled chaos in seconds. Red lights flashed everywhere, and urgent voices filled the communication channels. Commander, we're getting priority messages from Earth Command, Luna Station, and about 30 different alien governments, said Lieutenant Kate Wilson, his communications officer. Her face was pale as she tried to keep up with all the incoming signals. Alex set down his coffee cup and moved to his command chair. What's the situation? Sir, Ambassador Morrison just withdrew Earth from the Galaxy Council. Every trade route in the sector is going crazy. Ships are changing course. Cargo deliveries are being canceled, and we're getting requests for protection from merchant vessels. Alex felt his stomach drop. He had known this day might come, but actually hearing it was different. Show me the sector map. The main screen lit up with a three-dimensional image of their area of space. Dozens of colored lines showed the normal trade routes that connected different star systems. As Alex watched, many of those lines started blinking red or disappearing entirely. "How bad is it?" he asked. "Bad, sir. The Centauri shipping lanes just shut down completely. The Zephyrian commercial fleet is recalling all vessels to their home systems. And we're getting distress calls from independent traders who don't know if their contracts are still valid." 3 star systems away, Captain Nina Brooks faced an even worse situation. Her exploration ship Discovery was surrounded by 6 alien warships. They had appeared out of nowhere while her crew was studying a new planet. "Captain," said her first officer, Commander Steve Parker, "the lead ship is demanding to speak with you directly." Nina looked at the screen showing the alien vessels. 3 were Zephyrian battlecruisers, sleek and silver like deadly fish. 2 others belonged to the Vorton Hive, looking like giant metal insects. The last one was something she didn't recognize. "Put them through," Nina said. The face that appeared on her screen was Zephyrian, but not one she had seen before. This one had scars across his silver skin, and his black eyes seemed to burn with anger. "Human Captain, I am War Commander Zek of the 3rd Zephyrian Fleet. Your species has made a grave mistake today." "Commander Zek, we are on a peaceful scientific mission. We have committed no hostile acts." "Your very existence is now a hostile act," Zek replied. "Earth has defied the natural order of the galaxy. This cannot be allowed to spread." Nina felt sweat on her forehead, but she kept her voice steady. "What do you want from us?" "Information. Where are your hidden bases? What new weapons has Earth developed? How many ships do you really have?" "I'm an explorer, not a military officer. I don't have that information." Zek leaned forward on the screen. "Then you are useless to us." Back on Earth, President Helen Carter stood before a joint session of Congress and the Global Unity Assembly. The Great Hall was packed with representatives from every nation and colony. Outside, crowds had gathered to watch the historic address on giant screens. "Fellow citizens of Earth," President Carter began, "today we took a step that will change our place in the galaxy forever. Some of you may be afraid. Some may wonder if we made the right choice. I want to explain why we had no other option." She paused and looked around the hall. "For 5 years, we have watched the Galaxy Council become more controlling and less fair. Smaller species have been forced to give up their rights. New technologies have been restricted or taken away. And now they demanded that we surrender our ability to defend ourselves." In the audience, Senator Bill Hayes raised his hand. "Madam President, what about our trade relationships? Our economy depends on galactic commerce." "Senator, that brings me to something most of you don't know yet. Dr. Coleman, please join me." Dr. Lisa Coleman walked onto the stage carrying a small device. She looked nervous but determined. "Ladies and gentlemen, 3 months ago our research team achieved a breakthrough that changes everything." She held up the device, which was about the size of a smartphone but glowed with soft blue light. "This is a dimensional fold generator. It allows instant travel across any distance in space." The hall erupted in surprised voices and excited whispers. President Carter raised her hand for silence. "We have been using this technology secretly for the past 6 months," she continued. "Earth now has colonies and research stations in places the Galaxy Council doesn't even know exist. We have resources they can't control and trade routes they can't block." Dr. Coleman stepped forward. "The Galaxy Council's power comes from controlling space travel and trade. They decide who can go where and when. But our fold technology makes their hyperspace lanes obsolete. Any ship with a fold drive can travel anywhere instantly. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the economic effects of Earth's withdrawal were spreading like wildfire. On the Zephyrian home world, Supreme Chancellor Vex received an emergency report from his economic advisors. Sir, our industrial stocks have dropped by 40% in the last 6 hours, said his chief economist, a nervous-looking Zephyrian named Cole. The markets are in complete panic. How is that possible? Chancellor Vex demanded. Earth is one small planet with primitive technology. That's what we thought, sir. But our intelligence reports are coming in now. Earth has been much busier than we realized. Cole activated a holographic display showing various star systems. They have established secret colonies in at least 15 systems, major mining operations in the Kepler sector, advanced shipyards that we never detected. And sir, their technology appears to be far more advanced than we believed. Chancellor Vex stared at the display in growing alarm. How did we miss all of this? They have some kind of stealth technology that our sensors can't detect. Our trade analysts are also reporting something strange. Several independent shipping companies have been using new, faster routes for the past few months. Routes that shouldn't be possible with known technology. Back aboard the Discovery, Captain Nina Brooks was trying to keep her crew alive. The alien ships had moved closer, and she could see weapons powering up on their hulls. Captain, said her science officer, Dr. Amy Chun, I'm detecting some kind of spatial distortion forming near our position. What kind of distortion? I've never seen anything like it. It's like space itself is being folded. Suddenly, a new ship appeared next to the Discovery. It was clearly human in design, but unlike any Earth vessel Nina had ever seen. It was larger than her ship, with smooth curves and what looked like energy shields shimmering around its hull. Discovery, this is Captain Roy Martinez of the Earthship Defender. Sorry we're late to the party. Nina felt relief flood through her. Captain Martinez, we have 6 hostile vessels surrounding us. Not for long. Discovery, please move the coordinates I'm sending you now. The Defender began moving toward the alien ships. As it approached, something impossible happened. The human ship seemed to fade in and out of normal space, making it impossible for the alien weapons to lock onto it. What the hell? War Commander Zek's voice came over the communication channel. Human ship, identify your technology immediately. Captain Martinez's reply was calm and confident. Zephyrian vessel, you are interfering with peaceful Earth operations. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. You dare threaten the Zephyrian Empire with one ship? Who said anything about one ship? As if responding to his words, 12 more human vessels appeared around the alien fleet. They materialized out of nowhere, surrounding the hostile ships completely. Zek's face showed the first sign of uncertainty. This is impossible. Our sensors show nothing, then suddenly you're everywhere. Technology has a way of advancing when you're not paying attention, Martinez replied. Now I believe you were leaving. Nina watched in amazement as the powerful alien fleet, which had seemed so threatening moments before, began to retreat. The Zephyrian ships were the first to go, followed quickly by the others. As the last alien vessel disappeared into hyperspace, Captain Martinez contacted the Discovery again. Captain Brooks, welcome to the new reality. Earth doesn't run from fights anymore. We just fight them on our own terms. Nina stared at the human ships surrounding her. Each one represented technology she didn't understand and capabilities she had never imagined. Captain Martinez, what's really happening out here? The galaxy is about to learn something important, Captain. They always thought Earth was weak because we were new. They're about to find out that being new sometimes means being better. The secret meeting took place on Haven, a small planet that had remained neutral for thousands of years. Jake Morrison sat across from Ambassador Velf of the Andromedan Collective, trying to read the alien's strange face. The Andromedans looked like tall, thin humans, but their skin was pale blue and they had 4 arms instead of 2. Ambassador Morrison, Velf said, her voice soft but urgent. My people have watched the Galaxy Council's reaction to Earth's withdrawal. They are planning something terrible. Jake leaned forward. What kind of terrible? Total war. The Zephyrians are calling it a cleansing operation. They want to make an example of Earth so that no other species will ever try to leave the Council. Again, the meeting room was small and plain with no windows. Both diplomats had arrived in unmarked ships to avoid detection. Jake had been surprised when the Andromedans requested this secret talk. The Collective was the second most powerful group in the galaxy, almost as strong as the Zephyrian Empire. Why are you telling me this? Jake asked. The Collective has always supported the Council. Velf's 4 hands moved nervously. That was before we learned what Earth has really accomplished. Your dimensional fold technology changes everything. For the first time in 50,000 years, the old powers might not be the strongest anymore. On Earth, Colonel Pete Watson was briefing President Carter about the galaxy's military movements. The war room deep under the White House was filled with screens showing star maps and ship positions. Madam President, our deep space sensors are detecting massive fleet movements, Pete said, pointing to the displays. The Zephyrians are pulling ships from all their border regions. They're building the largest attack force in recorded history. President Carter studied the numbers. How long do we have? At normal hyperspace speeds, about 2 weeks before they reach our outer colonies. But ma'am, there's something else. We're also detecting unusual activity from species that aren't part of the Zephyrian Alliance. What kind of activity? Ships moving away from Council space. Some are heading toward the galactic rim, others are just disappearing from our sensors. Entirely. It looks like other species are starting to make moves of their own. Colonel Watson switched to a different display. We've also had contact from several independent groups. Pirates mostly, but also some legitimate governments that never joined the Council. They want to know if Earth is interested in forming new partnerships. Far out in the unknown regions of space, Captain Nina Brooks was having the strangest conversation of her career. Her ship Discovery was docked with a vessel that looked like it was made from black crystal and silver metal. The being she was talking to called themselves the Veil Runners. Your species is young but brave, said the Veil Runner leader, who went by the name Shade. The alien looked almost human, but his skin seemed to shift and change like flowing water. We have been watching you since you first left your home system. Why? Haven't you made contact before? Nina asked. Because you were part of the Council system. We have been hiding from the Council for 3,000 years. They destroyed our home worlds when we refused to surrender our independence. Nina felt a chill. They destroyed entire planets? 7 worlds, billions of lives. The Council called it a police action. We called it genocide. The survivors became nomads, traveling in ships like this one, staying hidden. Shade activated a holographic display showing star charts. But your fold technology changes the game. With it, we could find new homes that the Council could never reach. In return, we offer you something valuable. What? Information. We know every weakness the Council has. Every secret military base, every hidden fleet, every corrupt deal between the major powers. We have been watching and learning for 3 millennia. Back on Haven, Ambassador Velth was explaining the Andromedan Collective's proposal to Jake. Earth cannot fight the entire galaxy alone, she said. But Earth doesn't have to be alone. There are many species that have grown tired of Zephyrian control. Together, we could create a new alliance. Jake was interested but cautious. What would the Collective get out of this alliance? Access to your fold technology, of course, but also freedom from the Council's restrictions. The Zephyrians have been limiting our expansion for centuries. They fear that if we grow too strong, we might challenge their rule. And what would Earth get? Military support. The Collective fleet is smaller than the Zephyrian Empire, but our ships are more advanced. We also have resources that Earth needs. Rare metals, energy sources, manufacturing facilities. Jake thought about it. Earth was strong, but they were still just one planet facing an entire galaxy. An alliance with the Andromedans would change everything. I'll need to discuss this with my government, he said. Of course. But Ambassador Morrison, time is short. The Zephyrians are not known for their patience. On a hidden asteroid base in the Kepler sector, engineer Kelly Price was working around the clock to prepare Earth's defenses. The base was one of Earth's most secret facilities, completely invisible to normal sensors thanks to dimensional shielding technology. How many ships can we have ready in the next week? Asked Admiral Rick Stone, who had arrived to oversee the preparations. Kelly wiped sweat from her forehead. We've got 12 of the new dimensional fighters completed, and 3 heavy cruisers. The problem isn't building them, Admiral. It's training crews to use the fold systems. What's so difficult about it? Dimensional navigation isn't like normal space travel. One small mistake and you could end up anywhere in the galaxy. Or worse, stuck between dimensions where no one could ever find you. Admiral Stone looked at the ships being assembled in this massive hidden shipyard. Each one was sleek and deadly, equipped with weapons that could strike from parallel dimensional space. Do our best, Kelly. If the Zephyrians are really coming with everything they have, we need to be ready. Meanwhile, the Zephyrian High Command was meeting in their war room on the capital world. Supreme Chancellor Vex stood before a gathering of his top military leaders. Operation Scythe will begin in 10 standard days, he announced. We will hit every known human colony simultaneously. By the time we are finished, Earth will beg to rejoin the Council on whatever terms we offer. War Commander Zek, who had encountered the human ships near Discovery, raised a concern. Supreme Chancellor, the humans have technology we don't understand. Their ships can appear and disappear at will. Our weapons cannot target them effectively. All species have advanced technology, Zek. The key is having enough ships that technology doesn't matter. We are bringing 800 vessels to this operation. Even if the humans can hide from our sensors, they cannot hide from that many ships covering that much space. Another commander spoke up. What about other species? Some of our intelligence reports suggest that Earth has been making contact with independent groups. Chancellor Vex waved dismissively. Pirates and outcasts. They have no real military power. This operation will also serve as a warning to any other species that might be considering following Earth's example. Back on Earth, President Carter was meeting with her top advisors to discuss the Andromedan offer. It's risky, said Secretary of Defense Tom Bradley. We don't really know if we can trust them. This could be a trap. But it could also be our best chance, argued Dr. Coleman. If we're going to face the entire galaxy, we need allies. President Carter looked around the room. What does our intelligence say about other species? Jake Morrison, who had returned from Haven, answered. At least 6 different governments have sent us private messages. They're not ready to openly oppose the Council yet, but they're watching to see what happens. If we can prove that the Council can be defeated, more will join us. And if we lose, then everyone will know that defying the Council means destruction. It will strengthen Zephyrian control for the next 1,000 years. President Carter made her decision. Contact Ambassador Velth. Tell her Earth is interested in discussing terms for an alliance. But make it clear that any agreement must be between equals. We won't trade Council control for Andromedan control. As news of the secret negotiations spread through underground channels, species across the galaxy began to take sides. Some moved their fleets to support the Council. Others quietly began moving their most valuable resources to hidden locations. The galaxy was dividing into 2 camps, and everyone knew that what happened next would determine the balance of power for generations to come. The age of Council dominance was ending. What would replace it was still unknown. Admiral Rick Stone stood on the command deck of the Earthship New Horizon and watched his screens with growing satisfaction. The Zephyrian hunter fleets had been searching for human colonies for 3 days now, and they were getting more frustrated. By the hour, "Admiral, we're receiving another transmission from the Zephyrian 4th Fleet," said Communications Officer Danny Park. "They're demanding that Colony 7 respond to their signals." Rick smiled. "Put it on speaker. I want to hear this." The angry voice of a Zephyrian commander filled the bridge. "Human colony on planet designation 4471 Alpha. You will respond immediately or face bombardment. This is your final warning." "Sir," Danny said quietly, "should we tell them that Colony 7 was evacuated 2 weeks ago?" "Not yet. Let them waste a few more hours talking to empty buildings." On the planet below, the Zephyrian landing forces were discovering exactly what Rick hoped they would find. The colony looked normal from orbit. Houses, factories, even vehicles moving around. But when they got closer, they realized it was all automated. The vehicles were drones. The buildings were empty. And hanging the main square was a large sign that read, "Thanks for visiting Earth Colony 7. Population relocated to coordinates you'll never find." War Commander Zek was leading the search personally, and each empty colony made him angrier. "How many colonies have we checked now?" he demanded. 14, sir," replied his aide. "All empty, all evacuated recently." "Where did they go? Billions of people can't just disappear." "Sir, our sensors show no unusual hyperspace signatures. No large ship movements. It's like they just vanished." What the Zephyrians didn't know was that Earth's dimensional fold technology allowed instant evacuation. Entire cities could be moved in hours, not weeks. While the Zephyrian fleets had been approaching through normal hyperspace, Earth had been quietly relocating every vulnerable population to hidden worlds in unexplored regions of space. In the Kepler sector, Engineer Kelly Price was working frantically in Earth's secret shipyard. The facility was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, completely invisible to outside sensors. "How are the new ships coming along?" asked Captain Roy Martinez, who had arrived to inspect the fleet. "Better than expected," Kelly said, wiping grease from her hands. "We've got 37 dimensional fighters ready and 8 heavy cruisers. Each one is equipped with fold drives and dimensional weapons." "Dimensional weapons?" Kelly led him to one of the completed fighters. "These weapons don't fire through normal space. They fold space around the target and deliver the energy directly inside enemy shields. Traditional defenses are useless against them." Captain Martinez ran his hand along the ship's smooth hull. "How many crew do these need? That's the best part. Each fighter only needs one pilot. The dimensional navigation system is mostly automated. The heavy cruisers need about 50 people each, compared to 300 for a traditional ship of the same size. So we can field a larger fleet with fewer people." "Exactly. And Captain, there's something else. We've been monitoring Zephyrian communications. They're getting reports from their search fleets, and they're starting to panic." Far away on the Zephyrian capital world, Supreme Chancellor Vex was indeed panicking. His war room was filled with confused reports and angry commanders. "How can an entire colony just disappear?" he shouted at his intelligence chief. 2 million people lived on that world last month. "Where did they go?" "Sir, we're analyzing all possible explanations. Perhaps they used some kind of advanced transport technology." "What kind of transport technology can move millions of people without leaving any traces?" Before anyone could answer, another report came in. "Supreme Chancellor, the 12th Fleet reports that Colony 16 is also empty. Same situation, recent evacuation, no hyperspace signatures." Chancellor Vex slammed his fist on the table. "This is impossible. No species has technology that advanced." War Commander Zek's face appeared on the communication screen. "Sir, I request permission to attack Earth directly." These games with empty colonies are wasting our time. Absolutely not. Earth's defenses are unknown. We stick to the plan. Find their hidden populations and force them to surrender. Sir, at this rate we'll be searching for months. The humans are always one step ahead of us. What the Zephyrians didn't know was that Earth had help. The Veil Runners had provided detailed intelligence about every Zephyrian fleet movement. Using their network of hidden bases, they could track council ships across the galaxy. Captain Nina Brooks was meeting with Shade, the Veil Runner leader, aboard his crystal ship. Your information has been perfect so far, Nina said. We've stayed ahead of every search fleet. We have been watching the Zephyrians for 3,000 years. We know their tactics better than they know them themselves. Shade activated a holographic display showing the current positions of all major fleets. But Captain Brooks, the real test is coming soon. The Zephyrians are growing desperate. When they can't find your colonies, they will try something more direct. What do you mean? They will attack Earth itself. Not with their search fleets, but with their main battle armada. Over 400 ships, including their most powerful dreadnoughts. Nina felt her stomach drop. When? Our scouts report they are already moving. 5 days, perhaps 6, before they reach your home system. Back on Earth, President Carter was meeting with her military advisors in the underground command center. We always knew this moment would come, she said. The question is, are we ready? Admiral Stone nodded. Our dimensional fleet is as ready as it can be. 45 combat ships with full drives and dimensional weapons, plus our traditional fleet of about 200 vessels. That's still less than half what the Zephyrians are bringing. Yes, ma'am. But our ships have advantages theirs don't. We can appear anywhere, strike, and disappear before they can respond. Traditional fleet tactics won't work against dimensional warfare. Dr. Coleman added, we've also completed the planetary defense grid. If they get past our ships, Earth has some surprises waiting for them. What kind of surprises? Dimensional mines that exist in folded space until activated. Defensive platforms that can shift between dimensions to avoid enemy fire. And if things get really desperate, we can fold Earth itself out of normal space temporarily. President Carter stared at her. Fold the entire planet? For a few hours. Yes, it would be like Earth simply didn't exist. But it's extremely dangerous and would take enormous amounts of energy. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent communication from Jake Morrison, who was still negotiating with potential allies. Madam President, the Andromedan Collective has agreed to help. They're sending 50 ships to support our defense of Earth. What about other species? The Vortons are staying neutral, but they've agreed to let us use their space for supply lines. 3 minor species have openly declared support for Earth. And ma'am, something interesting is happening in Council space. What? Rebellions are starting. The Zephyrians pulled so many ships for their attack on us that their border regions are undefended. Several oppressed species are using this chance to strike back. President Carter felt a spark of hope. So we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. No, ma'am. We're fighting for the right of all species to choose their own governments. If we win, the Council system might collapse entirely. On the approaching Zephyrian flagship, Supreme Chancellor Vex was making final preparations for battle. War Commander Zek, you will lead the first wave. Destroy all human space defenses then. Secure the planet for occupation. Sir, what if they use their disappearing ship technology? We have 400 ships spread across the entire system. They can't be everywhere at once. Even if they can hide from our sensors, they can't hide from area bombardment weapons. What Chancellor Vex didn't know was that Earth's dimensional technology was far more advanced than he imagined. The human ships didn't just hide in normal space. They could shift between parallel dimensions, making them almost impossible to target even with area weapons. As the Zephyrian armada approached Earth's solar system, automated beacons throughout Human space began broadcasting a simple message. To all free peoples of the galaxy, Earth stands ready to defend itself and its allies. Today we fight not just for human independence, but for the right of all species to determine their own fate. The age of council tyranny ends here. The final battle was about to begin. The Zephyrian Armada dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a storm of silver death. 412 ships, from small destroyers to massive dreadnoughts the size of cities. Supreme Chancellor Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship Dominator and smiled with satisfaction. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Show these primitives what happens when they defy the natural order." But as the Zephyrian fleet moved toward Earth, something unexpected happened. Space itself seemed to ripple around them, and suddenly a human ship appeared directly above the Zephyrian capital world of Zephyr Prime. 20,000 light-years away, Captain Lavra Wells stood on the bridge of the dimensional fortress, New Geneva, and looked down at the silver cities below. Her ship was massive, larger than anything Earth had ever built before. It existed partially in normal space and partially in folded dimensions, making it nearly impossible to attack with conventional weapons. "Captain," said her communications officer, Lieutenant Sam Foster, "we're receiving panic transmissions from the planet below. They're demanding to know how we got past their defenses." "Tell them we didn't get past anything," Lavra said calmly. "We simply chose not to be stopped by them." On Zephyr Prime, emergency sirens wailed across every city. The planet's defense commander, Admiral Korvax, stared at his screens in disbelief. "How did that ship get here?" he demanded. "Our sensor network showed nothing until it suddenly appeared." "Sir," said his aide, "the ship is broadcasting a message on all frequencies." "Put it through." Captain Wells' voice filled the Zephyrian Command Center. "People of Zephyr Prime, this is Captain Lavra Wells of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is currently attacking our home world. We want you to understand something important. We can strike anywhere, at any time, and your defenses cannot stop us." Admiral Korvax opened a channel. "Human ship, you are in violation of Zephyrian space. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." "Admiral, look at your tactical displays. How many weapons do you have pointed at us?" Korvax checked his screens. Every defense platform, every orbital weapon, every ship in the system was targeting the human vessel. "Everything we have. Fire them all." "What?" "I said fire everything you have at us. We'll wait." Korvax hesitated. This had to be a trap. But his orders were clear. Any hostile ship in Zephyrian space was to be destroyed immediately. All weapons fire. Thousands of energy beams, missiles, and plasma charges converged on the New Geneva. The space around the human ship lit up like a star. As enough firepower to destroy a small moon struck their target. When the light faded, the human ship was still there, completely undamaged. "Impressive light show," Captain Wells said. "Our turn." The New Geneva fired a single beam at an uninhabited moon near Zephyr Prime. The moon simply vanished, folded out of normal space, and scattered across multiple dimensions. "That moon had the same mass as your largest city," Wells continued. "We chose not to aim at your planet because Earth believes in proportional response. Your fleet attacks us, we demonstrate our capabilities to you. But if your ships actually harm Earth or kill our people, we will fold Zephyr Prime itself out of existence." Back in Earth's solar system, the battle was beginning in earnest. Admiral Rick Stone commanded the human fleet from his flagship Horizon. Around him, dimensional fighters appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking at the Zephyrian ships and vanishing before they could be targeted. "Admiral, the enemy is trying to surround us," reported Captain Roy Martinez from his fighter squadron. "Let them try," Rick replied. "Begin Pattern 7. Suddenly, the entire human fleet seemed to vanish. The Zephyrian ships found themselves shooting at empty space. War Commander Zek, leading the attack, stared at his sensors in confusion. Where did they go? He demanded. Unknown, sir. They just disappeared. Ships don't just disappear. Scan all frequencies. Check for cloaking devices. But the human ships hadn't cloaked themselves. They had shifted into parallel dimensional space, where they could see and target the Zephyrian fleet while remaining completely invisible and untouchable. Target their flagship, Admiral Stone ordered. Dimensional torpedo, full power. The torpedo folded through space and materialized inside Zek's ship, bypassing all shields and armor. The explosion tore through the vessel's core, and within seconds, the mighty Zephyrian dreadnought was breaking apart. Across the battlefield, the same thing was happening to other Council ships. Human weapons appeared inside their hulls, their shields useless against attacks that came from folded space. This is impossible, Chancellor Vex screamed from his flagship. Our shields should stop anything. Sir, his science officer said with fear in his voice, their weapons aren't coming through normal space. They're using some kind of dimensional technology to bypass our defenses entirely. Meanwhile, reinforcements were arriving. 50 Andromedan ships dropped out of hyperspace and immediately began engaging the Zephyrian fleet. The Andromedans had kept their word about the Alliance. President Carter watched the battle from the command center deep under the White House. The screens showed the progress of the fight, and she could see that Earth was winning. But she also knew this was about more than just one battle. Dr. Coleman, are we ready for the broadcast? Yes, Madam President. We've hijacked every major communication network in the galaxy. Every civilized world will receive the message. Carter nodded and stepped in front of the camera. Around the galaxy, beings stopped what they were doing as emergency broadcasts interrupted their normal communications. People of the galaxy, President Carter began. I am Helen Carter, President of Earth. At this moment, the Zephyrian Empire is attacking our world because we chose to leave their galaxy council. They seek to punish us for demanding the right to govern ourselves. On thousands of worlds, different species watched and listened as the human leader continued. But this fight isn't just about Earth. It's about the right of every species to choose their own path. For 50,000 years, the Galaxy Council has grown more controlling and less fair. Today, that ends. She gestured to something off-camera, and the broadcast showed images of the battle around Earth. Zephyrian ships exploding, human vessels appearing and disappearing like magic, and the impossible sight of a human ship hovering over the Zephyrian homeworld. We are not conquerors, Carter said. We don't want to rule anyone, but we will no longer allow anyone to rule us. And we offer the same choice to every species watching this broadcast. The images changed to show new star charts, with trade routes and colonies that had never been seen before. Earth announces the formation of the Independent Worlds Compact. Any species that chooses freedom over control, cooperation over domination, is welcome to join us. We offer technology, trade, and protection to those who want to govern themselves. On planets across the galaxy, the reaction was immediate. Species that had been oppressed by the Council for centuries began sending messages of support. Others started planning their own withdrawals from Council authority. In the space around Earth, the Zephyrian fleet was in full retreat. Half their ships had been destroyed or disabled, and the rest were fleeing as fast as their engines could carry them. Chancellor Vex's flagship was among the survivors, but barely. His bridge was damaged, his fleet was broken, and his authority was crumbling. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving word from across the galaxy. 17 species have already announced their withdrawal from the galaxy. Council, rebellions have started in 6 different sectors. And sir, the Andromedan Collective has formally joined Earth's new alliance. Vex stared at the tactical display showing Earth, still intact, still defiant, still impossibly strong. How? He whispered, How did a primitive species become so powerful? The answer came from Captain Wells aboard the New Geneva, still orbiting Zephyr Prime. Chancellor Vex, you made the same mistake that every old empire makes. You thought that because something was new, it was weak. You forgot that sometimes being new means being better. 3 months later, Jake Morrison stood once again in a council chamber. But this wasn't the Galaxy Council. This was the first meeting of the Independent Worlds Compact, held on a new station built using Earth's dimensional technology. Representatives from over 100 species filled the hall. Some had been oppressed by the Council for millennia. Others were newly discovered civilizations that chose independence over submission. The first rule of the Compact, Jake announced, is that membership is always voluntary. Any world can leave at any time, for any reason. The second rule is that no member world can be forced to surrender its sovereignty to any other member. Dr. Coleman, now serving as the Compact's chief scientific advisor, added, "We will share our dimensional fold technology freely with all members. No one will control space travel anymore. Every species will have the ability to go wherever they choose." The Galaxy Council still existed, but it was a shadow of its former self. The Zephyrian Empire had lost most of its subject species and was struggling to maintain control over its remaining territory. Other old powers were facing similar problems as more and more worlds chose independence. President Carter's final log. Entry that day was simple but profound. Earth didn't walk away from the galaxy to hide from it. We walked away to show it a better path. Today, the galaxy chose to follow. The Age of Empires.